Welcome to another edition of Getting to Know Your Indiana Neighbor. And when I started this, obviously, if you've been watching these, you know I've tried to get people of impact who have made an impact to their community. People who are very positive in what they do, people who give to the community and keep giving. And I don't know of anybody who gives of themselves and their resources than Paula Ringwald, our Indiana neighbor today. Paula, welcome and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm
Well,
honored.
I want to talk about, first of all, I'm going to ask these hard questions that all of you want to know, like, where did these Ringwalds come from? Where did all of these Ringwalds grow up? Why did they come to Lagodi? Why are they so giving? So we're going to answer those questions for you. You're welcome. But let's start, Paula, from the very beginning, because there's a lot of things I don't know about you prior to Lagodi. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Newburgh, Indiana.
Newburgh, Indiana. All right. High school that you went to?
Castle.
Castle High School. All right. And college.
ISU, Indiana State, and Terre Haute.
Okay, so did I.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So then, and your maiden name was what?
Martin.
So Paula Martin.
hmm
Very good. Large family?
Yes, we're kind of a mixed family. We're
Okay.
one of those yours, mine, and our families.
Oh, all right.
My dad had two little girls, and my biological mom passed away soon after my sister was born. And then my stepmom, who I call mom, she was left with two boys. Her husband passed away. And then a priest got them together. He knew both families, and they got married. And soon after, or within several years, then they had five more. So I'm one of nine.
Okay. Now, are either of your parents still with us?
No, they have both passed away.
All right. So you go to college at Indiana State. What was your major at Indiana State?
Teaching, elementary teaching with a minor in special ed.
And did you use that as far as an actual teaching job?
Yes, I did. For the longest time, I thought I wanted to be an elementary teacher, but as I look back over it, I've always been led to the special ed category or area vocation. And so I was a special education teacher for basically about 16 years.
Where was this at?
I was 6 years or 8 years at Shoals, and then I left there and did a year at LARC, which is the Lawrence County Association for Retarded Citizens. I worked with adults, and then that was based on grant money, and when it ran out, then I came back and I worked at Lagodi for 6 years, and I did some subbing in between that.
Mm-hmm. Why do you feel like you were called more to the special education side of it?
I think that's just what my vocation was. When I grew up, I babysat a lot, of course, as a teenager, and some neighbors down the road that I babysat for, they were severe, profound in wheelchairs, and I cared for them. And then when I was at school up at ISU, we did some student teaching, and I've just always been called to that field, and that's where my passion has always been.
But it's also interesting as a religious education teacher and director at times, that elementary education has proved to come in handy, right?
Oh, for sure. And when you're teaching special ed, especially in the lower areas, a lot of those resources and stuff you use all the time. Matter of fact, you have to be very creative because sometimes you have to teach the same concept in different ways over and over again. And oh yes, so the elementary has definitely helped out there.
So let's get to the Ringwald part of this.
Okay.
Where did you meet your husband, Mike?
He was going to Rose-Hulman up in Terre Haute when I was going to ISU.
Okay.
And so we met at the local Catholic Student Center in Terre Haute.
That's funny because a lot of these people that I've talked to that are from this community, they've met at the Rustic in Jasper, but which is a bar,
Oh, okay.
a dance hall, I guess, years and
Okay.
years ago, and you meet at the Catholic Center.
Yeah.
That's very nice and appropriate too for what we're here for. It certainly fits right in. So Mike went to Rose-Hulman. Did you get married prior to getting out of college, or did you get out of college then get married?
No, we got married when I was a junior, the summer after my junior year. And then we moved to Washington for a year because I still had to travel back to ISU. And then I did some of my student teaching at Vincennes. So we lived in Washington because Mike then had a job at Crane.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little bit closer, kind of more in the middle, sort of.
And where are the Ringwalds from, Mike and his family?
They're from Madison,
They're from
Indiana,
Madison.
right down by the river.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he comes to Crane. The whole crew comes to Crane, the Ringwald family, or was that at different times?
No, slowly.
Slowly.
Yeah, Mike was
Gradually.
the first.
Okay.
And then Joe was living up at South Bend, and his job phased out. So he came to Crane. And then Andy graduated from Rose-Hulman. 5 Ringwalds graduated from Rose-Hulman.
Oh, my goodness.
I think we've tied it with families. I think there's another family that had 5, but there's 5 Ringwalds. And Mike and Joe and Andy, of course, they're one of 4. They're 14 in that family. Us Catholic families just don't know when to quit. But yeah, they're 14.
Wow.
5 went to Rose-Hulman. But then Andy, after he graduated from Rose, he came to Crane as well.
Now, was there not one of the children or more that went to Rose as well? Maybe not yours, but any other children went to Rose-Hulman?
No.
Okay. So
No.
so we just stopped at 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, that's great. So they all eventually get to Lagodi.
Yes.
You'd lived in Washington for a period of time. When did you make the move to Lagodi?
We only stayed in Washington about a year. So we got married in 79, and Jennifer was born in 80. And so we were here in 80, 1980.
Yeah.
In
Lagodi. I'm trying to read Paula's mind a little bit because she really hasn't watched these episodes of Getting to Know Your Indiana Neighbor. And I'm guessing she's saying, why are you being so nosy? But that's what we do. We want our neighbors to know a little bit more about you and me in particular. That's I just didn't know. I've always wondered how the Ringwalds got here, and I've heard a couple people tell me that you went to St. Mary of the Woods, but that's not true.
No, we visited there because it's right up by Terre Haute. So we visited there as college kids. We went there on retreats, and we had friends that would come from St. Mary of the Woods to the student center for activities and stuff. But no, I did not.
So given that information that I thought was possible, and knowing you and your commitment to the Catholic Church, I wondered if maybe you weren't going to school to be a nun at some point. But that's there was never any of that. Is that right?
No, there was not. I thought about it.
You did? Okay.
But no.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you marry Mike. What year did you get married?
1979.
The year I graduated high school. Yeah. Okay. So you moved to Lagodi, and children you have right now, how many do you have? What are their names?
We have 4. We got married in 79. Jennifer was born in 1980. Tim was born in 1981. Eric was born in 1983. Then I took a little break, and then Maria was born in 1988.
Wow, stair step.
Yes.
Okay. Where are they today?
Jennifer lives up at Bramble in Mary and Joe's old house.
Okay.
Tim built a house up on the hill from where we live, just east of town. Yeah. And then Eric lives in Washington, and Maria lives in Crawfordsville.
Okay. What does Maria do in Crawfordsville?
She works for a lawyer. She went to school and got her doctorate in justice. And then right now she works for a lawyer till she passes the bar or kind of decides where life's taking her.
And grandchildren, what do you have?
We have 6.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow, very good.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to ask you their names. I know you know them, but 6 grandchildren. That's fantastic, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
Do you get to see all of them fairly frequently?
Yes, we just saw Sunny. She's one of the youngest in Crawfordsville. That's Maria's.
That's her name, Sunny?
Oh, well, it's Sonia, but they call her Sunny.
That's beautiful,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't get to see her as much, but the other ones, we have we try and have Sunday lunches so we can all get together. And that happens 2 to 3 times a month.
Yeah.
And so I get to see them then.
Did you feel like you fit in to Lagodi relatively quickly, or was there an adjustment for you?
There was a little bit of adjustment, but I tell you, Joe's wife, Mary, her mother, Rose Nolan, lived just up from the church, and she was very welcoming, very. And her other daughters that lived at home there too. So we had that connection, and then when we first moved into town, St. Vincent de Paul, Romy Matthews and his brother stopped by and visited us and welcomed us in. So it didn't take long before we felt like this was home.
Yeah, so Mary was a Nolan.
Mary was a Nolan.
I did not know that.
Tommy Nolan, her dad, used to work for the post office.
Okay, very good. You were involved in the Catholic Church here, St. John's, almost immediately?
Yes, I did volunteer work, and Marjorie Ash, I can't remember her last name right now. But anyway, she would watch the kids. Jane Ann Davis watched the kids for a while I did volunteer work. And then her mom, when Maria was born, her mom watched Maria for a while. Yeah.
So I just wrote down just a few of the things that I know of that you've been involved in. This can't be a 10th. I do realize that. But you're currently president of the Martin County Community Foundation. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how long have you been with the foundation?
Only about 2-3 years. I'm still pretty young there.
But even in that time, isn't it amazing how it's grown? And
what it's done
for the community?
Oh my goodness. It's unbelievable how much money we're able to give back to the community.
I bet you've had more pictures taken of you in the past 2 or 3 years doing that than you probably had of any time in your lifetime.
Yes.
But that's a good thing.
But yeah, well, and they like us to do that, to show support.
Sure, absolutely. I know St. Vincent de Paul you've been heavily involved in as well, food pantry and other, right?
Not as much as I would like, but yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Toys for Tots or anything to do with children and toys, you've been involved. 4-H Council.
Yes.
All right. Your family grew up as 4-H?
Oh, yes.
I thought so, yeah.
Yes.
Livestock?
Not so much. More static projects. And then we did a little bit of livestock when the kids were younger. And now Tim's kind of getting into that a little bit with Eva.
Were you into 4-H growing up?
Yes, we had to go to Boonville. But yes, we went to 4-H meetings, and yes, we're involved.
Now, Mike has been heavily involved in Boy Scouts, correct?
Yes, he was the Boy Scout leader for a while.
I'm assuming you were den mother then at times?
Yes, I was. Yes.
So. Okay.
Yes.
Religious education director, although even aside from being religious education director, you've probably been, I'm guessing, a religion teacher for years. Is that fair too? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Still do that?
Yes. Right now I'm currently teaching 4th grade.
Yeah, how's that going?
Yeah.
That's an interesting age.
Yeah, but I really like it. A lot of the lessons plans that I had made earlier, I can still kind of use them. So yes, they're a good group.
Yeah, my wife Lynn has kindergartners.
Yes.
And that's interesting too. We have a kindergarten grandchild and we just keep thinking 12 of those. Wow. How do you do that? But they seem to do a good job.
Yes.
Relay for Life, you've always been heavily involved in when it was here.
Yes.
Was there a reason? Did you have, everybody's been touched by cancer, but anybody real close to you that was touched that made you feel that you'd like to serve with Relay for Life?
No, not really.
Okay.
And I was a little surprised that I dug in so deep on that, but it just kind of called to me, and I loved working with the people, and it was a good cause, and I knew that it would touch us. Yeah. It touches everybody, so yeah.
American Red Cross, right?
Yes, not as much. That one I'm kind of phasing out a little bit, but a little bit.
What do you do with them? What have you done?
Basically, we've just go to meetings and find out what's going on and pass information on. But we're with the civil defense or the emergency management. So they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. And then Salvation Army. I always wanted to have a little background knowledge of those in case it was needed in time of need here in town.
And you rang the bell a few times during the holidays,
we have.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Obviously, cantor, musician, particularly at the church. an absolutely beautiful voice, Paula has, and but a musician as well. I know you play the guitar.
Yes.
What other instruments? Any?
Oh, Mom made us all take piano lessons for
Did
4 years, so I know just enough to if I'm learning a new song, I can figure it out on the organ or the piano. And I played drums in high school.
You did?
Yeah, I always got stuck on the bass drum or the xylophone or something.
In high school
Yeah.
band, you mean?
In high school band, yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
Very good. Where did you get your interest, your talent in music, your voice? Anybody in particular that was in your family that was in that same way?
No, not really. Mom sang in the choir, and so she kind of got me involved in that. But no, that's just a God-given talent that I've been given, and I enjoy doing it.
Does Mike not also play the guitar?
He does.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember the praise bands or whatever you would call them outside at mass a few times.
Oh yes.
Which were
Yes.
just wonderful. But he was involved in that as well, right?
Yes, he is.
Does he sing?
Oh, a little, not
A little.
a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've not
He
heard
can.
that.
He
Yeah,
just
he
doesn't
can?
a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't, and I don't. So admire those of you who do, for sure. The area church is honoring Christ, your president of that, right? The
Oh,
ACCTS.
I'm not president, but I do kind of help out with those different activities. Yes.
Okay. Now, I should have asked this one before because this is a big. I'm going to assume, maybe wrongly, that you're in the Brute Society.
Yes.
Yes, an induction which is honors commitment to lifetime stewardship with the Catholic Church. And if Paula Ringwald wasn't in it, I would have no idea who would be eligible for it. So, congratulations. I'm sure
Thank you.
that was a big event when somebody told you that you're being inducted
Yes,
into
it
that,
was.
right?
Yeah.
What year?
Bishop Shea.
Bishop Shea did.
Yeah, he was the one that celebrated that when I was in. So I've been in that for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, deservedly
Yeah.
so, for sure. You've been involved. Now I'm just kind of going by memory and seeing you at different places with the fire department. Mike,
Emergency management.
emergency
Yes.
management.
Yes.
Okay. And
Kind of the civil defense in that building by the 4-H fairgrounds.
yeah, is that the same? Is that where Mike's been involved with as well?
Yes.
Was he ever a
Yes.
volunteer fire?
Yes, he was.
I thought he was.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know. That's about 10 or 12. But is there any that I didn't mention that you're particularly proud of? Because I know there's so many more that you've been involved in and have felt a calling, I guess, to be involved in something different than what I've
No,
mentioned.
you've touched on it pretty
No,
good.
I know there's a lot more, Paula. 2016, you carried the Indiana Bicentennial Torch. Why? Why Paula Ringwald?
We were totally flabbergasted when we were nominated for that, but Jackie Esch from St. John's nominated that for us, and that was quite an honor. Mike and I both got to do it.
Well, do you remember what the nomination criteria was that Jackie nominated you for?
No,
I mean, there's
I
got to
don't.
be some sort of criteria where they feel like this person is deserving, but you never did see anything that.
Or I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where did you get your servant mindset? Obviously, ever since you've been here, it's been there, but I'm guessing probably growing up as well. Is that correct?
Yes, Mom was always involved in church, did funeral meals, and she was the school nurse for a while, went to Catholic school, and she was one of the school nurses for a while. So they had a big influence on me as well. But I think that two things, maybe in particular, since I moved to town. One was when I went to work on my master's for teaching. And I did it. There was a bunch of us that went through Indiana Wesleyan. And it was so nice because they brought the teachers to us. So most of our class time we had in Montgomery. So it was really nice. And they, being a Christian college, they were real big on having a servant heart and being agents of change.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that had an impact on me. And then Cheryl Biggs, when she lived here in town, she invited me to a Bible study once. It was a bunch of women. And in that Bible study, I learned how to hear God's voice. And and ever since then, I've been able, I think, more to discern what I'm being called to do, and not just try and do everything in the world, but to focus on just certain things that I'm called to do.
So were you a devout Catholic growing up, or did you become much more devout as an adult because of situations like that? And I know that wasn't a Catholic situation. That was more of women of all faiths.
It was, and that was one of the cool things about it.
Yeah.
We were a very devout Catholic. Mom and Dad made sure that we went to Mass every Sunday and all holy days and everything that came up, and religion classes as teens, because we got religion during the day at school. But it has grown a lot as I've become an adult. But it's always been there. I've always prayed at night when I go to bed. And
What was your upbringing like in regards to? You said you had the large family that melded together. Was that difficult, first of all? And how old were you whenever the two families got together?
My sister died when she was, or my mom died when my sister was 3 months old. And then I think within a couple of years, within a couple of years, Mom and Dad then got married. So Mom has always been Mom. I don't remember my biological mom. Matter of fact, as I was growing up, there'd be this picture of my dad and a woman that looked like my Aunt Jean in a wedding dress. And I always couldn't figure out why Dad was standing next to Aunt Jean in a wedding dress until years later when I found out that was my mom, my biological mom. But I would say we were probably below middle class. Dad worked at Whirlpool and Mom was a nurse, but with 9 kids at home. She didn't go to work during the day because she was taking care of us. We, like a lot of families back then, we had a big garden and we canned, and we lived on a little farm, so we had our own beef. And Dad, after he'd get off work at Whirlpool, then he would help his dad with some grain fields and things like that. So, and we had a lot of hand-me-downs. We'd pass hand-me-downs around. But it was a good life.
So they were both hardworking.
Oh, they were very, yes.
Can I ask, what did your biological mother pass from?
When she was a kid, she had rheumatic fever.
I did as well, twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just the labor of childbirth and the stress on her body was just more than it could take.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the age ranges of the 9 children that were together?
Well, Jim, my youngest brother, he was the ring bearer at our wedding. So he was, I think he was 7 or 8 by then. And then Dan, my oldest brother, he's about 7 years older than I am. So he is now in his 70s. So probably 20 years or so. Yeah, 20, 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned before this, it was kind of a his, mine, and your family. Well, the his, mine, and your movie, they didn't get along all that well. The siblings didn't. Well, what about your siblings?
We didn't always get along.
You didn't always get along, but always didn't get along like brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And are they all still around?
Yes. I am very fortunate in that we are all still around. Now, Mike has lost 2 of the 14. 2 have passed on.
Okay. And do you get to see and get together with those siblings occasionally still?
Yes. Matter of fact, we're going to go this Friday and meet up with a couple of them for a little bit. So, yeah, we have to make the effort, but yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. What did you do?
Matter of fact, my sister married one of Mike's brothers. We've got that twice on my side of the family where brothers have married sisters. Yeah. Yeah.
So the Ringwald's grown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that name until you guys came in.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know. I didn't know if you were from. Somebody thought Corridon, and you see, nobody knows. That's why we're getting it. So it was Castle High School and Newburgh, Indiana. What was it? You said you lived on a farm, a little bit of a farm, but with that many children. Was it a large home?
No. Dad built
Somehow I
the,
didn't think so.
yeah, Dad built the original house, and it was very small. And then uh, when he married Mom and brought two more boys home, then he added a couple more rooms to one side. And then I'll never forget when, at one point in time, then he added a couple more rooms on the other side in a big basement room. And all three of us girls were in the one big basement room.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although you said if there were 20 years separating them, it kind of came and went, right? It wasn't.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was a good life. You said. What
Yes.
type of things did you guys do for enjoyment growing up? Whenever you had an opportunity to get out and about, what did you like to do?
We play with the kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made friends with them. And then we also had a pony, a couple of ponies, and a horse. And I really enjoyed riding them. Once the pony took me into the lake and the saddle went off, and so I was leaning sideways under the lake. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like an enjoyable time.
No, no.
But altogether.
But it's memorable.
It's
Yes.
very memorable.
Yes.
For sure. Good student growing up?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah,
that means good.
I was more of a B and C student than a,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Your major going into Indiana State, you said, was education. Is that all you wanted to do with your life growing up, was to be an educator, a teacher of some sort?
And get married and have a family.
Really? So
Yes.
maybe the occupation was secondary?
It was.
All
Yeah.
right. Very
Yeah.
good. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, you accomplished that.
Yeah.
Now, is Mike retired yet?
Yes, he is.
He is.
Yes.
Do you get to travel much? Do you want to travel?
Yes, we do. And yes, we have. We've been able to go over to Europe a couple times. Last year we went to Iceland, and this year we're going to London.
Wow. What's your favorite spot in all of the world so far that you visited?
And different people have asked me that, and I don't know that I really have a favorite spot. I loved walking around Vienna, and
I did too. Yeah.
it was
Austria,
beautiful.
absolutely.
But I tell you what, Iceland, we got a rent-a-car and we made it all the way around the island, and we got to go on a glacier in one of those great big vehicles, and we went in an ice cave, and just all traveling around the whole island, and just the difference in areas, ice here and rough ground here from volcanoes, and then this really nice little village there, and horses, and it was just super cool.
Yeah, Iceland's not on the top of my bucket list, but the people I have talked to that have gone said it's beautiful. Was it cold when you were there?
50, yes, 40, 50.
Okay.
And I tell you what, when we first flew into Iceland, it was very barren, and I thought, oh my gosh, is this all we're going to see? But you just got to get out and you got to see it. Mm-hmm. And to see the glaciers and the big blocks of ice floating down the river, yeah.
And you said you're going to London? Is that where you said?
Yes.
Okay, when is that?
That's in June, soon after the coronation.
Oh,
we're going about the week after, yeah.
And you've never been to London before?
No.
Where else would you like to go in the world that you haven't been before?
We want to try and go to Iceland or Ireland.
Sure.
Our daughter went there a couple years ago, and I'd like to go there. And we have some friends in Germany, so we just want to be able to hook up with them. And if they come over, we're kind of planning maybe a trip to Alaska. I've known several people that have gone on that Alaskan cruise tour up in there. I want to do that.
Yeah, I retired a year ago, June, and wasted no time. We went to Alaska.
Yeah.
Most beautiful place I've seen within the U.S.
Yes.
I love Austria. I love Sweden. I think those are beautiful.
Yeah.
But as far as the U.S. is concerned, Alaska was just gorgeous. So you'll love that. What about inside the U.S. continental? Where have you gone that you really enjoyed?
We went to Mount Rushmore and saw the Black Hills of Dakota and all of that a couple years ago.
Did that surprise you, the Black Hills? We did the same. And that surprised the heck out of me because it's called the Black Hills, right? But when you get there, it's something you've never seen before. In my mind, it was just beautiful.
Yes.
But Yeah, and there was a thunderstorm, so you've been there, so you can imagine the lightning and the
Yes.
thunderstorm while you're there. But I really enjoy the Black Hills. So if you get a chance, it doesn't sound great, I know,
Yeah.
it's in South Dakota, but yeah, if you're going to Mount Rushmore or that area, make a trip to the Black Hills. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to the Grand Canyon. Mike
Mhm.
and several friends and family have been to the Grand Canyon, but
Mhm.
I haven't, and I want to go there. So
Yep.
we're going to go there
Gotta go.
probably August, September
Mhm.
of this
Yeah.
year as well.
So you enjoy traveling?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well,
And we
good.
got a camper.
You
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
I said I wasn't going to make you name your grandchildren because I don't even know why, but I want you to because I think it's a big part of conversations like this. So tell me a little bit about your grandchildren.
Okay. Um, the oldest two are Eric and Michelle. Eric married Michelle Pageant,
Yeah.
and they live in Washington. They've
Okay.
got like 10 acres that they share with
Mhm.
Michelle's brother and her mom and dad. And their girls go to Washington Catholic.
Mhm.
So Marie, the oldest, is in seventh grade. Claire is in fifth grade, and then Teresa's one of the youngest one, and she is 2. Yeah, and ball of fire.
Oh boy.
And then Bronson is in fourth grade. That's Jennifer's little boy. Eva is in fifth grade. That's Tim and Shelley's. They live on the hill. And then Sonia or Sunny is she's one of the little ones, and she's a little over 2, and they live in Crawfordsville.
Wow. I mean, it's just it's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And the ages that yours are at, kind of similar to mine. Great ages,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well, you've been blessed. Obviously, you know
Oh, I
that.
have been.
You have. What would you like to do going forward, whether it's in volunteerism, whether it's in stewardship, or just anything that you feel like you haven't done? What's on your bucket list going forward?
Probably more traveling,
Okay.
and camping, and kind of enjoying that part of life,
Hmm.
and spending time with family,
Yeah.
um, and um, and maybe doing some more with family and everything else that we do. We don't um, meet up with friends uh, from our community as much. And
Hmm.
I think I'd like to call some of them up and go out for dinner sometime, that kind of thing, a little bit more. We haven't done a whole lot of that, but
Yeah. No, but I can imagine though the friends you've made in the stewardship that
oh,
you've
for
done,
sure.
which is a great place to start when you move to a new community, right?
Yes,
Being involved with the church,
yes.
and I'm guessing that helped you as well. Um, so what is it that we still don't know about Paula Ringwald that would be of interest to us? If there's anything at all that you can think of that's not too embarrassing, um, anything that we don't know about Paula right now after we've had this conversation?
Oh, probably not. We have some electric or solar panels on our house,
Okay.
and I think we're going to put a greenhouse up. That's kind of on
Okay.
the bucket list that we hope to
Uh-huh.
do, and we put in a wood stove. I've always kind of wanted to be self-sufficient,
Yeah.
so
You kind of
we're
wanted to go back to nature a little bit.
yes,
Okay.
yes, that
Do
kind
you
of
do you
thing.
have
Get
a
off the
garden?
grid.
Do you have a garden now?
Yes, but I'm a container garden. That bending over stuff doesn't
Hmm.
go so
Yeah.
well anymore. So,
Yeah.
but I like to container garden, and
Hmm.
yeah, so tomatoes and peppers did real well last year, and potatoes and that kind of thing.
All right. Very good. Well, I think we've gotten to know. I have. I've gotten my questions answered. I don't know if you have or not about Paula Ringwald and Paula. It's just amazing what you do for the community, and we want to make sure that people who haven't met you or seen you, they've seen you around. You know, you can't go to a fundraising event, to a church event, to some sort of community event, and not see Paula probably working it. Summer social, remember those days?
Yes, yes,
Those are great.
yes.
And you were heavily involved in those as well as was I. And it's just a lot of fun when you can volunteer and do those things. And I don't do near enough. Now with you, Paula, as you do a little more traveling, as you want to spend more time with family, are you backing off of some of your commitments? It doesn't seem like you are, but do you see a time to where that volunteerism, that stewardship might back off a little bit so that you can spend more time with yourself and your family?
Yes, a little bit. I'm trying to kind of focus on more of a few things,
Mm-hmm.
but even those few things can
Yeah.
get pretty busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4-H and community foundation
Mm-hmm.
and church.
Mm-hmm. You're probably one that can't say no. Is that right?
Not very well.
Not
No.
very well.
Yeah.
And that's what we find with people
Yeah.
who serve the most, because
Yes.
they see a need, they're asked, or sometimes they jump in, which you've done many times, and they're there for life much of the time. Paula, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Paula Ringwald, and we hope you've enjoyed it, getting to know this Indiana neighbor a little bit more. I didn't even know she really was an Indiana neighbor until I knew she was lately, but I didn't know where she grew up. So Newburgh, Indiana, had no clue. Castle High School, Castle Knight, right?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for watching. Paula Ringwald and getting to know your Indiana neighbor.